video, we are going to talk about one of the most important commands in AutoCAD, which is the command hatch. The command hatch makes a pattern of shapes in selected area that indicates on the type of material that you want to use in that space. To have this command, you have two ways. The first way is by going to draw list and choosing the command hatch right here, or by typing the shortcut of this command, which is the letter H, then enter. We have some things to know about the command hatch. The first one is when you want to draw a hatch, you have to press in a closed space. For example, this is a rectangle and another rectangle inside. So if I put the mouse in this area, now you can see that the hatch will fill this whole area. For example, if I go to this shape, you can see that the rectangle is not closed. This is a not closed shape. If you are going to pick a point in this shape, for example, pick in this point, then you will have a message that tells you a closed boundary cannot be determined. You have to have a closed boundary and red circles to tell you where is your problem. So this corner must be closed. You can close this corner by the command fillet, then F enter. Press on the first line, then the second line. Now the rectangle is closed. If you want to make a hatch again, just take the command, then pick a point in the rectangle, then you will have the shape of pattern. If you had the pattern like what you see, then it's acceptable. If you don't have a pattern, then it's not acceptable. If you pick a point inside, then you will see that it has been hatched. Let's take the command again, H enter. You have two options here to select the area that you want to hatch. For example, you can select a boundary by clicking select. For example, select, you press on the shape, then the whole shape will be hatched regardless to the inside shapes. If you want to pick a point, which is the best to choose, pick a point, then any closed space you will choose will be hatched like what we see here. Next point, which is pattern. Pattern, which is the pattern of the shapes. Each one indicates on material that depends on the country that you are in. Some countries use special patterns to indicate to some materials. Other countries use another shapes to indicate to the same materials. So you need to know in your country what the patterns that they use in your country to indicate to materials. We have here so many shapes of patterns you can see in here. For example, if we take this shape, angle, then you can see that any closed space could be hatched. Okay, now here you can see that you can choose some other options. You can choose solid, the first one, which is solid, that gives you a solid hatch. You can choose gradient, like these gradients in colors. You can choose the colors here. For example, you can choose, for example, red with yellow, for example, red with green. You can choose the gradient that you want in the space. The best one is to choose pattern. Here we have hatch transparency. You can make it high. If you want, you can see that the transparency of the hatch is high. We can reduce it here. Now it's more clear. The most used is transparency 0. Also, you can choose the angle. If you want to hatch this area, you can see that the angle is a 90 degree. If you change the angle, for example, 45, it has been rotated to 45 degrees. Also, you can choose scale of the hatch. For example, here's 10. You can choose, for example, 5, that makes the hatch smaller. For example, if you give 15, now you will have it bigger. So whenever you enter small values, the shape will be smaller. When you get higher values, the shape and the pattern will be higher. Next, here we have an associative. You need to choose associative. Then we have here some options. you can choose separate hatches. If you hatch more than one space, you can make each space is separated from each other, and you can get them all as one hatch. For example, if I hatch some spaces with separate hatches, for example this one and this one, then press enter. The first one, you can see that it's separated from the second one. I'll erase them and I'll repeat again without choosing separated hatches. I'll choose the first one and the second one, then enter. Now you can see that they are just like one unit. So you can choose the best one that you prefer. Again, if we go back here, if you choose, for example, separate hatch, we have here some other options. You can get normal island detection or outer island detection, and also you have ignore island detection, which is nearly the same to no island detection. If we start with normal island detection and just press on this area, you will see that the first space has been hatched, the second one has been not hatched, the third one has been hatched, and the other one is not been hatched. So it hatches one space and leaves the next, then hatches the next one, then leaves the next, and so on. Again, if we go and choose here outer island detection, here it selects just the outer island and leaves the others. For example, if we press here, then if you press on any space, it will not take it, because here you have choose the outer island detection. The next one, which is ignore island detection, that it takes no islands in the inside. So you can press in here, then all of the shapes inside this shape will be hatched. If you take, for example, this one, then each space inside this shape will be hatched. Also, if you choose this one, each space inside this one will be hatched. So no island detection takes all the shape to be hatched. The last one, which is no island detection. No island detection like the last one, which is ignore island detection. The last one, which is match properties, that lets you to choose any hatch you have drawn previously to a new shape without going to the pattern here and choosing from the list. The last information to know, which is match properties. Match properties lets you choose any existing hatch in your drawing. For example, if you have an angle pattern for the hatch and you want to take this pattern without going to the pattern list and choose from this list, just go to match properties and then click on use source hatch origin, choose this source, then you can see that it has been converted to this type of pattern. Then you can choose the shape. The last information to know, that if you have here a hatch pattern and you have here a hatch pattern and you want to let this pattern is like this one, so you have two ways. The first one is by clicking on this one, then go to the pattern list, then choose the shape that you want, then you can change the pattern. Also you can change the angle and the scale. Also you can change the transparency. This is the first one, like this. The second one is by choosing match properties. Match properties, like here, use source hatch origin, press on this one, then you can see that it has been converted to an existing hatch like what you see here. That was all for the command hatch.